The Greeley Foundation for Peace and Justice was established in 1986. Part of its work is to support an annual Greeley Scholar for Peace Studies at the University of Massachusetts in Lowell. Let's head over to the O'Leary Library to learn more about this year's scholar from Pastor Imogene Stulken.
Dana McLean Greeley, who was a Unitarian Universalist pastor in Concord, Massachusetts, and he was very involved in interfaith work and in peace and justice work. So there was a foundation established in his honor. They gave out local grants to various agencies who are working, some with youth, but in the area of peace and justice in some way. And the foundation board members decided that they were going to disband at one point. So they were looking to give out 5 big grants. And then they picked us as one of them. But it wasn't just like, okay, whom in the world can we pick? It was that we had established already something called the Peace and Conflict Studies Institute, and my colleague who will speak shortly and I are 2 of the co-founders of that and co-directors.
It was our track record that got them to seriously consider us. They asked us to put a proposal together, and we were successful. So that has allowed us an endowment which lets us bring a Greeley Scholar to the campus every year. And the Greeley Scholar, they've been all internationally recognized people who work on various aspects of peace. Thrupkaew is very interesting. She's a journalist. She's internationally recognized for her work in human trafficking and labor exploitation, which is a form of human trafficking.
One advocate told me, we must have equal rights for migrant workers if we want those same rights for Americans. Otherwise, companies will rush to exploit the cheaper, more easily coerced and manipulated, socially isolated foreign workers. It's a race to the bottom. So either workers have to be in it together or continue to suffer and be pitted against each other by those who would profit from their dissension.
As an investigative journalist, she has to do a lot of research to gather data. And one of the interesting things right now is she has 4 of our graduate students who are doing research with her. So that's the kind of opportunity that this program allows. So our students get to interact directly with these very, very prominent people.
But what motivates you to continue to fight against this social injustice?
What motivates me is that there continues to be injustice, right? And as long as that exists, so we have to keep going forward and exposing the nature of that injustice, why it happens, to whom it happens, especially.
What is important for Lowell community residents to know about human trafficking? Because not everyone is aware of it. So what can they know about it?
Actually, I found Lowell history to be incredibly interesting. The fact that the Lowell economy was built upon slave plantation economies is incredibly interesting, and I think has been obscured to some extent. Just talking to people, they often are surprised by that.
Absolutely.
And so I think understanding that piece of Lowell history enables us to expand the scope of our understanding to see the ways in which economies predicated on enslaved people's labor have actually formed the underpinning of this entire country's economic system.